What is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday, aka trade deadline eve. For those of you guys who don't know, tomorrow afternoon is the end of the trade deadline. There are going to be guys sitting tonight just on speculation. Like we already got word yesterday that Kevin Durant was most likely going to sit tonight just because there's potential that he could go somewhere else today.
Where's he going?
There's a lot of rumors. I've heard that Dallas is trying to put together a package for him, which actually would make some justification a little bit for the other trade. The team that's really trying to get him is the Warriors, and then the other team that's trying to get him is the Lakers. But I don't see how any of those teams are going to be able to get him. So we will see. I think Memphis would have the best chance, but I'm not sure that he wants to do that. That would be my take. And by the way, OKC, if they wanted to give up something, oddly enough, he could go right back to OKC and be the hero who left and came back and won them a title or something. He would fit in perfectly with that OKC young team for you have him for 2 years. He could probably win 2 titles.
So how did you last night?
I did terrible, and it's my bad. I tried some things. There was less late news than I thought there was going to be. We got Miles Turner in. I took a sort of a stance on playing all of the centers in the later games, but the Lakers just demolishing the Clippers was not on my bingo card, and without any AD or Luka or anything. But I guess LeBron, by the way, would have put up like 80 in that game if the game was competitive because he just killed them. So the Lakers looked great, but I did poorly. And look, it's going to be a high variance time, at least for the next week or so. And then right after the All-Star break, you'll have some normalcy for like a week, and then it'll get crazy again. So, but how'd you do, Sheets? Anything good?
Yeah, I have a funny story to tell. So not funny story. So I got, you talk about variance. So I got 10th in the slam on FanDuel. I say that as intro. And so here's another result, which I kind of joke about this sometimes, but it finally actually happened. In the FanDuel Monster, I literally got last. Like, literally last place. 199 out of 199. And I have literally no complaints about my process whatsoever. So that is the essence of DFS, I guess.
Absolutely. That's just what happens. I mean, look, I tell this to people all the time. If you're just winning a small amount every day, it's sort of like what we used to say about poker. You're probably doing something wrong. You're going to have days where you just get crushed, and you'll have other days where you're like, oh my God, this is the easiest thing in the world. Everybody I took 80% of that was 5% owned or 10% owned or whatever, and they were all smashing and everything. That it's just the nature of the way that the variance in these sports work. But stick with the process. That's the most important thing. And obviously, we'll try to do a little bit better day by day. After this, I will just give you guys a heads up. I'm going to be doing with Kenny Hyder, who was one of the few TrueDFS winners on the golf slate last night. I didn't get a chance to complain about golf, and I don't really feel like I should be able to complain about anything.
I neglected to do my requisite complaining.
No. I was going to say I'm not really allowed to complain for a little while because you can't win the million and then start complaining.
I guess not.
But I had at least a little bit of time before I'm able to. But I did want to throw out that the strangest of losses of losing the $5, and I'm not sure I would have won it anyway. But I had what's his name, Hodges, and I was in first place in the $5 for 25K. It wasn't like a crazy thing, but then he makes a 9 on the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the course. He hits 2 balls in the water, and he goes from I think 5th place or something or 6th place into he just shot him off the board. He had a quadruple double, but took him from whatever 14 under to 10 under or whatever it was. That was a weird way of losing, but Kenny anyway was the one guy who won last week. He knows a lot about golf, so I'm looking forward to doing that golf show with him. And with all that said, I think we can sort of jump into this slate.
So, needless to say, just lots of stuff going to happen throughout the course of the day and the evening. And as I also like to say, I mean, you win this slate. Hang on a second. You really should get, if you win like the lottery for 50,000, they should give you another 100. It's just the toughest slate of the year. I mean, it just has to be, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at some of these guys that I'm seeing as like top point per dollar plays, and they might not even be playable by the end of the day. It's like
that's right.
It's pretty funny. But anyway, may as well get started.
Let's get into it. So I mean, look, we have a game with a massive total right out of the gates with San Antonio and Atlanta, and I'll tell you who I would like to play, and I think we're going to have value. I would personally like to play Wemby. This is the matchup where I feel like you could see the 80 game, and no matter what, like his median's 56, but I feel like 56 is almost like, I don't want to say it's his floor because things can happen, but it feels like in this matchup it's his floor to me. So he's right off the bat a guy I would bump up in projections. I really love him here. And we have Fox as questionable for tonight from last I heard. I don't think he's going to play. They don't even have him on the projection set. Oh no, they actually do. No, okay, he went up from questionable to playing. So still love Wemby. And I honestly think Fox is in play. That's weird, first game with a new team, but it's not like he hasn't been playing. He's only 8K. It's Atlanta. I think both of those guys are very firmly in play, and who knows how he'll be used. He just got with a team and all that, but it's Atlanta. You're playing transition. You're getting out there. I think they'll try and, do their best to show him off. So those are my two. I have no issue with anyone from Atlanta, but nobody who I'm getting to naturally. If I did, it would probably be Trey.
So one thing you could do if you guys are not ready to make commitments to the slate or to know who you're going to play. One thing you could do if you use SaberSim is and in general is reserve your spots in the tournaments you're going to want to play on the site so you don't get sold out, and then upload that to SaberSim. This way, it's one other set, even the dummy lineups. It's one other thing that you can do now where you really can't focus in on all the players. That you might not want, and you're going to need all the time later to sift through the players, really. So you don't want to do anything administrative and BS then. So as long as you can do it now, reserve your lineups that you're going to want to play, and at least put dummy lineups into the SaberSim entry editor so that it just make your life a little easier. Because then one of the things it'll do for those watching this the first time is it'll preload all of the data of those contests. So if you want to do contest sims, you don't have to. It's another thing you won't have to do later when you're a little more time crunched.
Yeah.
With San Antonio, Atlanta, I didn't run a build yet, but as far as value, there's nothing. So we've got to look, like you said, at the spend up. So I agree. I think Wemby looks like one of the strongest spend ups tonight, right alongside of Jokic and Giannis. I have Wemby projected pretty much the same, maybe a point or two less than Giannis with $1,000, savings. So, and not being owned all that much more. So yeah, I'm kind of into that idea. Trae Young on the other side, 9,600. That looks, reasonable enough also. So if you want to play those two and fill in the rest with value, sure. It's something you could do right off the bat.
Yep. Totally agree with that. And look, at some point I'll get into the Frenchman versus the Frenchman's thing. The number one picks in back-to-back years were, Risa Shea. Yeah, there's a little thing there. And Risa Shea, by the way, he's going to have a range of outcomes as I keep mentioning. But then you look up some nights and he's got 45 fantasy points in the early third quarter or something. He's got a high ceiling, is what I'm saying, but a very low floor. All right, Cleveland on the back-to-back after playing Boston against Detroit. I don't need to see a questionable tag to know that I think somebody's probably going to sit from Cleveland tonight. It's just a guess. And who that is, I don't know. And by the way, for what it's worth, Detroit has been, this is a hugely one of the biggest improvement teams in the NBA. So this game may end up being very close. And I, as of right now, would not get to anything except for Jalen Duren. But that was the one play that worked out for me last night. Jared Allen against Boston. He had a monster game. But Jalen Duren is the only guy showing up for me after my first look so far. But I'm open to maybe getting more involved in this game if Cleveland sits some people.
This is obviously a classic bet Detroit against the spread spot, with Cleveland coming off the Boston game and a back-to-back going to Detroit. So if I were a sports bettor, I would do that.
Yes.
As far as DFS goes, not really getting anything here. So, like you said, though, rates to be close game, and if you think it's rates to be closer because of what I just said, then even more so. Play the Cunningham and who else? Who else do you play from Detroit nowadays? Durant, I guess. I don't know.
Durant is the one for me, and Cunningham, and those would be probably the main ones, but. But you could like Asar and Tobias, a bunch of them look fine. Just not anybody I'm going out of my way for, except for maybe Duren and maybe Cunningham, depending on what Cleveland throws out there. If I get a little game stack going.
Okay.
All right, Milwaukee and Charlotte, and assuming that Milwaukee's actually going to play their players today.
Oh, sure, because they're a 10-point favorite. Now they're not going to play their favorite. Now they'll play their guys.
Right, right. They'll lock and load these, and yeah, it's weirdly enough to say it's. You remember one of my favorite bets of the week, and I mentioned I did cash in on this one, was that Charlotte Washington game the other night, because no matter where, like, I mean, literally the odds were just.
Did that go over?
It went over by like 30 points.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Like 20-something points. It was just like such a dumb line. But Charlotte does play. The point is Charlotte does play slower. But look, I can't find anything here. I mean, Nick Smith is just a total crapshoot play in general, in my opinion. So if he's getting any ownership, I wouldn't. You want to play him at like 1% when he's 5K. For me, this is kind of Lillard and Giannis with no Middleton anymore, and certainly no Kuzma won't be there yet. I think it's just a cross off for me. But if you wanted to play one of those guys, I have no issue with it. I obviously never have issue with playing Mark Williams, but he's getting expensive, and honestly, doesn't seem like it matters. He just always gets there. But as of right now, not really getting to much of anything.
Yeah, I'm not really getting much of anything at all. Again, obviously it depends who's playing and all that stuff, but Misic maybe at 4,800. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that makes sense. The Misic idea. Probably enough upside to get there, but again, by the end of the day, will we have 3K guys? I think we will. That's the only thing. All right, Washington and Brooklyn. This is where, look, if there's something that SaberSim loves more than Jordan Poole, I'd love to know what it is. I mean, it used to be Clint Capella, but now he's hurt. But Jordan Poole, every day I run the Sims, and every day before I enter my takes, Jordan Poole, and again, he looks incredible today. And if this is a close game, we should be able to get the good Jordan Poole. So I'm actually on board with the Jordan Poole exposure. It's a little higher than I'd like, but I definitely am on board with some of it. There's no Kuzma, obviously. Joe Val is another one that I like. I have a lot of interest in, and then Champagny is a value play that's going to show up because of the no Kuzma. Just be aware that it could be somebody like you could just see more Kaishan George minutes. You could see more of Carrington. So pretty much the whole Washington team I have interest in. One, the game is going to be close. Two, there's no Kuzma, nor is there Sarr. So I think this is a spot where you do want to target Washington as one of the teams that you play. And on the Brooklyn side, it's another one of those where you've got a bunch of Russell's probably not going to play because he played last night. That's how they do things. Ben Simmons is, I don't know. It's a play at your own risk. I'm open to it, but probably not going to do it. I think the main one's going to be Keon Johnson coming off the big game, but maybe a pivot back to Zaire Williams is the right way. So I would say one of Keon Johnson, Williams, or Claxton, but I honestly think Claxton or Sharp, those guys are probably going to be in trade rumors. So this game is probably going to look better in a few hours than it does right now to me.
Yeah. So again, Poole and Valanciunas look like the best plays over there. And Poole is just that guy that I just don't think you want to play as chalk if that's the way it shakes out. I mean, you have obviously you can have a good projection without Kuzma in there, and he's definitely got upside from that projection without Kuzma out there. But just watch your ownerships, man. You know what I mean? Like if he ends up being like a really really chalky, those are the types of players that to me you don't want to get too overweight on. Whereas opposed, I mean, like Valanciunas, even though sometimes he disappoints, sometimes he's already. At least it's the center position is just not as volatile, as the shooting guard with 70 shots a game volatility,
Mm-hmm.
But both those guys look pretty reasonable to me. I personally am not getting to much of Brooklyn, if anything, today, at least for now.
Should we be treating like this is something I've been messing with? So Koulibaly, like over their last 10 games, is averaging more fantasy points than Jordan Poole. And now Jordan Poole has a higher ceiling because he can get in those high 50s if things go a certain way. Maybe Koulibaly is the answer at lower ownership today. So that's what I think I'm going to stick with.
But the only difference, obviously, Poole's just going to have the ball more often, to start possessions and things like that.
Right, but on the flip side, all he does when he has the ball is shoot. So you need him to shots to go in.
Right.
And Koulibaly, you could have him getting like he'll get rebounds, he'll get steals, he'll get blocks. Okay, so like I always talk about the best player. If you say who's the best player on the Wizards, the best player is Koulibaly, and it's going to be Koulibaly and Sarr going forward. By the way, these French guys are just taking over the NBA. It's just going to be all French teams soon.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, what do we have here?
Sorry. Memphis, Toronto, and this is where I'm getting all the value. Like all these Toronto guys are showing up. Let's starting with who is Jacoby Walker. He's my highest owned player right now if the slate were to lock. Then you have Kelly Olynyk at 3,300 with a 6 to 7x projection. You have Grady Dick again, like a 6x projection or so. So all these Toronto guys are just kind of showing up right now. And then Memphis on the other side, I'm really not getting to too many of them. Listen, why not just keep playing my hero, Santi Aldama, I guess. He's 4,600. But aside from that, I'm not really getting to too much of any of the Memphis guys today.
Yeah, Memphis has a bunch of decently projected guys, which a decently projected guy is probably not going to end up cutting it on this slate, to be honest with you. So Jacoby Walter, he started last night. I actually felt like this was an opportunity to get if you were updating your Saber Sim updates. He was 16% owned last night, and he was in the second round of games, and they announced him starting, and it wasn't supposed to be him. I think Jacoby Walter should have. I think if we had Jacoby Walter all day, so he ended up as the best point per dollar play on the slate on SaberSim by a pretty decent. He had like a 7x projection, and he was still 16% owned. He would have been. He should have been 70% owned, 60% owned for the nature of the slate with no value. Now he played 29 minutes. He only put up 18 fantasy points. He's actually been good point per minute in the past. I think this is a spot where it's like interesting. So it's interesting. He's going to get more ownership on a tougher slate with more value tonight. But my point of it is I wanted to say you really should be using it. Hopefully you have it through us or through SaberSim, but really use that late swap tool because I got to 75% of him on DraftKings. And that was, again, he didn't have a monster game. He had 19 fantasy points, whatever. But even his down game was still solid enough on a slate like last night. And I think that's closer to where he should have been owned. So, but you'd have to be late swapping right up to the minute. Like if you did it 5 minutes before lock instead of 2 minutes before the 7:30 game's locked, you wouldn't have gotten Jacoby Walter. But if you did it 2 minutes before, you would have, and I did. And I felt, so I got him on DraftKings. I didn't get to him on FanDuel because of it. Anyway, all this to say, it's a really important thing to take a look at up to the minute, as close to up to the minute as you can to do your late swaps. Because when they announced him starting and the projections updated, he was the best projected play at point per dollar play on the slate. And people mostly overlooked it outside of the big buy-ins. Anyway, Jacoby Walter is he's a play that we like now, that we probably will have a bunch of other decisions to make later today, whether we still like it. And the same is true with Kelly Olynyk. I think that they're both fine for value. And if you told me it was a normal slate, I would probably say that they're both excellent plays for value, especially on the back-to-back. Podol off of back-to-back. Podol with trade speculation.
Podol got hurt, didn't he?
Did he get hurt?
He came out of the game, right? I mean, he only had 12 fantasy points. I think he came out of the game in the second quarter or something like that.
He had, yeah. So I wonder if he'll even. But it's weird they don't have a Q tag on him today. Oh, they're doubtful. Never mind. He's not going to play today.
Yeah,
he's not going to play. I just updated the projections. They've got him doubtful.
That's why all these Toronto guys are showing up, I think, right? I mean,
well, it's also the back-to-back, and and Quickly's out too,
right?
And Barrett's out. So it's even more. So I think Toronto. We'll wait for the projections to update later. I think you're going to see like 4 or 5 players at 6x or near, maybe 4 players at 6x, and then you'll get the Scotty Barnes mega chalk. So yeah, you're going to want to do some business with Toronto, no matter what happens tonight. So, and by the way, they still may trade some of these other pieces. Probably not. I'm just assuming Quickly is going to be out. He might play, but again, we'll see who's available for Toronto later. It's updating by the minute already. So it's going to be a wild slate, guys. It's going to be a lot of weird stuff. So just make sure that you're doing your late swapping and adjusting accordingly as close to lock as possible. And if you want to set it and forget it, this is the wrong slate to do it.
So if you want to know why I lost yesterday, I
How did
mean,
you lose?
well, I mean, I played a 65% owned Bam out of bio. I was like over the field on him.
But he was fine. He put up 40, right?
That's not gonna work
Yeah.
at that ownership. And I played a 50% owned Terry Rozier coming off the bench. He didn't do so hot either, I don't think.
Yeah.
What do you have, 13 or something like that?
Yeah, he was terrible.
That's not good. You get another chance to make the same mistake, I guess, tonight. I don't know, but I am thankfully not. I don't think I'm getting to these guys again. Maybe ever. Certainly, I don't know. I'm not getting them today. I presume that Embiid's not playing.
Yeah.
I didn't even look, but I just
Yeah.
presume. So, I mean, I'm not seeing Philly guys right now, but I don't know if Embiid's not playing. Do I want to play Philly guys again? Do I want to go back to Yabusele? Do I want to do other stuff? Right now, I'm not getting them, but it's certainly something to consider.
Yeah. So this is weird because I did not ever understand the projections for Bam yesterday.
No,
I like the play made sense to me, like just on like in a
good
vacuum.
matchup and whatever. But I mean,
but I don't understand why he was like Saberson had his median at 46.5. How can that ever be the case for Bam? Like, and nobody extra was really out. It was just based on matchup. So I thought that was a little weird. So I actually got like below the field on him, which doesn't mean he didn't hurt some of my good, not hurt, but didn't help my good lineups, I should say. But yeah, he's fine. You know, like he's a fine play tonight. I have no problem going right back to him. He's good on back-to-backs in general. Terry Rozier is a high variance play that I think we should let ownership dictate. And also, I think a lot of the speculation is funny because the sports betting world, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but Terry Rozier got in trouble for and was you know, I don't know if he got suspended officially for a game or if they were just while they were looking into it. But his props they canceled all of his props one day, and then there was this whole speculation about Terry Rozier potentially fixing things.
that was the Ehrenberg thing too. That's right.
Yeah, but it was this was like an ESPN. This was like a report from all over the place.
Right.
Like it was everybody was on this Rozier thing, and it's still there's still work to be done in looking into it.
Oh, no.
But I think that's almost like why he got over-owned last night. People were like, "Oh, he's going to prove that he's not whatever." He didn't make any.
He proved something.
Yeah, he didn't prove a whole lot. Yeah, well, we'll see what the Miami roster looks like at the end of the day. But as of right now, Rozier, Bam, and Khalil Ware, I have is all viable, but nobody I'm trying to get to. Philadelphia, I think that the projections are just weird. They've got Paul George maybe back. Paul George also is in a lot of trade rumors. You've got Drummond questionable. You've got Gordon questionable. You've got Lowry questionable. It could be we're doing a lot of business with Philly by the end of the day, but as of right now, it would probably just be Maxey or nothing for me. But it's probably going to be more Philly later today. All right, Chicago and Minnesota sheets. What do you got?
Chicago. I thought all those guys would be out for trade rumors. It turns out they all played, and now they have a back-to-back as a 100-point underdog. Yikes. I don't know what to do with that. I'm getting Matas Bucelis at 23%. I'm owning him at 23% right now. I'm getting these both bigs on Minnesota, Reed and what's his name? Not Gobert and Mike Conley. None of these guys I really want to play. But I don't know. Are these Chicago guys going to rest? I mean, what are they going to do there?
I'm guessing. Well, they might be traded,
right, or something. I mean, like,
yeah. There's probably one guy, and it might even be it might be a Dosunmu, who, by the way, was the guy you needed last night. It could be any. I mean, Dosunmu. They officially said Dosunmu, White, Vucevic, and Giddey are all up in the air. I don't think the thing with Giddey. I'm sorry. The thing with Vucevic is hard for teams to trade for him. He's got one of the best contracts in the NBA. He makes so much less per his position. For his production than almost any player. He's got like an Austin Reeves type of deal, which is why it's hard for people to want to let him go. So I'm going to say right now that I think that Buzelis is really good. He was the one thing I got right last night, 2% owned on DraftKings, and he smashed. He's going to be really good. He's one of the build around guys for them. So I like Buzelis quite a bit going back to it tonight. He'll probably play in some of the blowout run. If there is blowout run, he'll play regularly anyway. We've got his minutes at 28. That's actually a pretty high minutes projection, 28 and a half. And if he plays 28 and a half minutes at 4K, I'm in. I'm in on Buzelis. So as of right now, he's the one I'm getting to, but I'm going to guess that's going to be very different by 6 Eastern. Minnesota, Naz Reid without Randall is hard to ignore. The problem is it's you're talking about Naz Reid as mega chalk. Well, part of the reason why we've done so well with Naz Reid over the course of time is that we've played him as a low owned play. And when he plays with the starting units per minute, his production isn't quite the same. All this to say, he put up 47 in the one game where we lost where we lost Randall. So I can't really argue that he's a good play. He is a very good play, but also worth noting in that game. Let me see. I know he got off to a crazy hot start. I think he made he made his first 4 threes, ended up 5 of 9, and then 7 for 10 from the field, which are mostly long jump shots. Yeah, so there's a bust path, but I don't think I need to take a stance and change his projection to lower it. I don't think I need to raise it. I think he's the main play for me. I think Gobert is fine. And I think Anthony Edwards is probably going to be a little bit too low owned. So that's my take on the Minnesota side today. Edwards is going to put up some big games. And by the way, you know what I just keep going back to though? Jaden McDaniel, we have to be ready for players to hit the next stride, even if it's 4 years into their career. But Jaden McDaniels, there's something to what's going on over there. And I kind of wanted to dismiss it at first. But this guy is putting up he put up 41 the last game, 56 the game before that. Then he goes with his 9 against Utah, but he's shown that real ceiling where I don't think I want to play him. I just want to throw it out there that we might be seeing a little bit of a different version of McDaniels, certainly without Randall, but just in general, he's maybe growing a little bit more offensively. It just happens with these guys sometimes later than others. All right. Next up, we have Golden State and Utah.
Rumors of Draymond Green going to Phoenix.
Seen that. I don't really understand it for any party.
No, I don't either. Okay.
Unless Kevin Durant was coming back.
We could keep playing Christian Braun, I suppose. Golden State. Sorry, Golden State, Utah. I'm not really. I'm getting market weight on Curry. If that means anything. Probably not much. And maybe market weight on what?
He's really cheap.
And maybe market weight on John Collins. But aside from that, not too much of this game.
Yeah, I kind of like Curry. I hate when the projections love Wiggins. I just think playing Wiggins as chalk is it's the worst kind of grind you can ever have. And I'm not even entirely sure why he's so chalky. Now, in his defense, he's been much better. But much better putting up, 30, 33. He did have a couple of the 40 and the 42 and the 45 and the 40 game. But those were without Steph. I don't really see I need to play Andrew Wiggins with any sort of ownership personally. Pretty much ever. I'll play him at low ownership. Don't really want him as chalk. Oddly enough, if Draymond plays, I like Draymond and I like Steph either way. 8,300 is starting the point where it's the kind of game, too, where the team's kind of sloppy on the other end. You could see him having that, Steph hit 10 threes tonight kind of a game, But he's just not the same fantasy producer he has been in years past. But the price starts reflecting it enough. I think we take our chances. And then on Utah's side, if he's still on the Jazz, John Collins looks like a good play. Also, if he's still on the Jazz, which I think is much more likely, Lauri Markkanen is in play. But he's I think that he's probably, my guess is he may sit. So we'll probably have more to do later, but mostly it's just Collins at the moment for me for the Jazz.
So New Orleans has back-to-back in Denver, but with rest. They played 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So they say, okay, why don't you take a couple of days in Denver just to go on vacation, and then we're going to play again. It's okay.
Yeah.
What's his name went crazy the other day for New Orleans, right? Murphy.
Yeah, I keep pointing this guy out, and
yes, you do. I'm still getting these Denver guys, but I will say this. I think you talk about being price enforced. I don't know if we're going to be able to play Jokic at 12-8. I don't know. Right now, I am. Yeah. Right now, I'm able to get to him pretty easily, actually 30%. But if they keep him at 12-8 on days where the slate doesn't look like this, it's going to be like last year when you couldn't play him for half the season.
Right.
Just because it's the way pricing works. But again, we could, as I was mentioning in the previous game, we can keep playing Christian Braun. Jamal Murray is reasonable enough at 7,700, and I would go right back. I guess to Murphy. I don't know. I have no idea, but maybe go back to. Why do I want to talk about it? Maybe try Zion again. But this is what I want to say. So Aaron Gordon is 4,900. The reason why I bring that up is I did. It's really funny. I did a set of lineup builds with just regular without putting the Sims in. I got basically not none, but very, very small amount of Aaron Gordon. And then when I ran the Sims, I was getting like all of it. And you have to kind of like sometimes go back and see what's going on here. You'll see that Saberson, like right now, had his ownership of 0.97%. So obviously these are going to get updated, right? So, but what you have to, what you have to remember is that whenever they run Sims, it is in part predicated on the ownership assumption.
Yes.
So just when you see, and this goes against my usual opinion of just don't look and see you have, okay? But if you look and see that there's some really weird delta between what you're playing with pre-sim and post-sim, just make sure your ownerships are reasonable.
Right.
Because there's no one's 0.97 that's starting. You know what I mean? Like, well, I guess you could be. But.
No, but not at this price when he's been like supposed to be the chalk every day.
Yeah, exactly. So.
But yeah, I'd also just go out and say on this slate, I don't think you want. Aaron Gordon, if it happens, it's a matter of.
No, and I wouldn't even say he might not even play, but it's just again, I'm trying to do something each day, particular to like lineup builds that I thought would be worth discussing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's fair. The plays for me here are going to be the same thing. First of all, Missy is totally in play here at 50. What is he? 4,900. But I don't want to go out of my way to go crazy with this. Yeah, he's a good play. He's a fine play. It's not a guy I really want. To be honest, I don't think I even want it. I think if I want to take a chance here, I want to take a chance on Zion or on Trey Murphy. I feel like one of those guys is going to smash. And Trey, just look at Trey Murphy's log. I have a crush on a basketball crush on Trey Murphy as a player. I think he does. I think he's got like very few weaknesses. I just wish he was a little bit more I wish he just shot the ball every time. He's an excellent shooter. He made 8 threes in each of the last 2 games, by the way.
Well, in fairness, part of the reason they're excellent shooters is because they don't shoot it too much,
No, but he takes a good amount. Don't get me wrong, but I mean get rid of. Let's forget McCollum. Let's forget when Brandon Ingram was there. Let's forget Brandon Ingram. Let's forget DeJounte Murray. It should be built around Zion and Murphy. And Murphy is in my opinion, the second best player going forward. I just
who's the best one?
Zion when he's healthy. Okay. And by the way, there's always that weird Zion opportunity out there for someone who wants to give up a ton, because there's a lot of rumors about it. And man, I think I would. You're no matter what, you'd be buying lower on Zion than you'll ever be able to buy out.
You know, it'd be awesome. It would be awesome if the Mavericks trade Luka because they're afraid of his conditioning and then pick up Zion.
That's that. But by the way, there are rumors about this.
that would be just so legendary.
There are rumors about this. And the other one that I've heard the rumors on are the Spurs giving up some first rounders and stuff, and then you could start with Fox, Zion, and Wemby. I feel like it'd be pretty fun because even if he's out, the Spurs are still going to be good anyway. Anyway, I think it's interesting. But Zion and Murphy are the only ones showing up for me from New Orleans, and I will probably, I don't know about locking him in, but I'll just be way over the field on whatever Jokic ends up.
Really?
I just don't see any so he's not getting there because look, first of all, Westbrook's out. Jamal Murray has been awesome lately, and if you want to correlate, the games when Murray goes completely nuts, and Jokic doesn't put up a big game, okay, yeah, that's going to happen sometimes. So what? I think that I really, really like Jokic, and I just think that it's the surest points we have of anybody.
Let me ask you: Does 80 win tonight?
I think so. I think 80 is. I think it would be very hard for 80 not to win because there's gonna be 7 guys who are 7x by the time we go.
Right. Well, that. Well, the answer to the question is that right? What do the 7xers look like?
Right.
because then 80 will win if you could actually fit him in. It's like
right. And then the two later games, which are they on they're on the FanDuel schedule, right? I'm just going to throw out some just quick things on those because I wanted to. Yeah, they are on the FanDuel schedule. And FanDuel's got that nice 222 with 100K to first tonight.
yes.
Phoenix is not projecting nearly as well as it should.
Oh my God, there's more games for FanDuel.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
So Durant is doubtful officially, which means, and Bradley Beal is going to look like a reasonable play, but I would encourage people. Bradley Beal may not. I mean, look, if they can trade Bradley Beal, they will. Just nobody wants his contract unless you like. They would have to be giving up more in addition to Bradley Beal just to get rid of him. So I guess at 6,300, you could say Bradley Beal's a decent play. I would take a gamble with Devin Booker and just hope that he can keep them close against OKC. On the other side, I think that Shea, he's probably too expensive on FanDuel. So, but look, he's a totally reasonable, pivot off of Luka. And then I just would mention with Orlando, Paolo is going to go nuts tonight. I know I've said it before, and I've been wrong twice and right once in the last 3 times I said it.
So you should have him 50% owned. I'm not going to buy into him shooting 25% from the field, and I am going to buy into the 30% usage rate. I'm in on Paolo tonight. And as far as the Kings go, I think that we go right back to, did they make his price too much? Yeah, they bumped up Keon Ellis's price, but I really like this guy. So as of now, I guess the only play, and here's the first time I'll ever have had a chance to say this, I would have some interest in Levine, but I also think it's still possible they trade Levine before the trade deadline. So a lot of stuff to figure out. I'm embracing the madness. I thought I was going to skip. I was originally going to come in today and be like, you know what? I might not be playing tonight, but here's what I would do. I'm in tonight. So let's do it.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild one. All right. So, and I'll be coming up shortly with Kenny for some golf. And anything else, Sheets, before we get out of here?
Nah, sounds good. One other thing I will say, I'm gonna watch your golf thing. I have not seen anything like this. I mean, there are some sites, or whatever. I bet pretty much all of them. They're projecting like Scheffler like 30 points higher than everybody else.
It's the highest I've ever seen a difference. I was looking at some of McCool, and just to give away, Pater had some stuff. They had the chances of Scotty Scheffler to get 10x, which is 120, which basically you have to come in like the top 2 or 3 unless you make like 9 eagles. They had him at like almost 90%.
But it's not just him.
Everybody. It's everybody. And so
I don't know, dude. It's golf. I don't know.
It's golf. I think that we take it and initially I was going to be like, okay, I'll just basically play most of them. And if he's really going to end up like 75% owned, which is totally possible, because
there's no way.
It's a mispricing though. He should be 3,000 more than everybody else.
Oh my God.
Don't you think? I mean, look at the numbers.
No, I don't.
Sheets, won like half the tournaments he played last year. Last 2 years.
I don't know, man. It's freaking golf. I don't want to.
He struggled his way to a T9 last week.
So good. Give him in a short field.
Yeah, you're right. That's fair.
Give him 9th in a short field. It's not like this field is atrocious, is it?
No, this field is actually pretty decent for a non-elevated. We'll see where we stand on that one.
I'm calling BS on this whole pricing model. I don't know.
He's also never had. I don't think he's ever finished outside the top 5 there.
Good. Whatever. The only thing I would say is that I definitely wouldn't want any piece of freaking Justin Thomas at that price. I mean,
well, that's the problem though. So we got to play somebody if you're not playing Scheffler.
Well, I don't know. You
can
play League of Legends or something.
Play Sam Burns. Play Sam Burns at 2%. That would be my thing.
Or you could play. I guess M will be popular, right?
Yeah, but not like.
Maybe you know what? Maybe this field is a little worse than I thought. Like I'm looking. What about Bocce at 82?
Yeah, reasonable.
I'm just literally. You know who I was getting, by the way, a little whatever. I'll just share this with you. You know, I was getting my highest owned guy in my first runs with Sims and everything. It's actually Harry Hall for some reason.
Harry Hall has been my guy this season. I want to ride the Hall wave, so I'm in on that.
Kuchar is out. What are these cheapos? Because they're all you're going to want to play them with Scheffler, right? Knapp. I'm just kind of. These are just. I haven't even looked yet, but Knapp. These guys, I would imagine, would be all right. Is Van Rooyen good enough?
Yeah, I mean, it's not his ideal situation. I want him like in the wind or something like that on the coast or something.
Can we go back to Hui?
There's some other names we've got that will
Look at this floppy hat, 6,400. You
I
have.
mean, but also he's an Arizona guy. He moved there. I mean, for everybody who last year we went, because last year we went to this event, Kenny and myself and Kenny's dad and a friend. We ended up going and literally I was saying right away, why is Nick Taylor unowned? Why is Nick Taylor not going to be this? We bet on Nick Taylor first round leader. That crashed in at a beautiful 25-1 or whatever it was. We bet on him to win the tournament. That cashed in at 40-1 or whatever it was. And Nick, and it's his place. And then my guy Kazire, who you're bringing up too.
The general is 6,300, and then you have who else? We have Norlander 60. There are some 63s that could be in here. Grillo 64.
Yeah, the high 60s are good, I think, too. And
yeah, maybe everybody's right. Maybe Scheffler wins this by 10. I don't know.
Lock Scheffler in. It's a very strange build. I think I'll play him in my single entries, and I'll probably fade him in the lottery as much as I can. All right. Anyway, good luck to everybody today. And Sheets, I'll see you later at 6.